The UK railway network has so many mysteries behind many closed doors. There are currently 2,567 railway stations in the UK, which include the opening of Soham and Bow Street, which opened in 2021. The first 4 railway stations in the UK opened in 1812: Drybridge, Gateshead, Kilmarnock and Troon. Kilmarnock up in Scotland is still open, even though there were 2 buildings before that. There was even a second railway station located here in Havant, which was just located around the corner between this station and Rowlands Castle. There are many mysteries of the British Railway that are dying to be discovered. Join me, Darren Stratton, as I take you round the 4 corners of the UK to explore the many mysteries that a station and its platforms have to offer. There are many explanations as to how stations can open. One example is a following result of disputes, which led to a second railway station in Havant to open. Havant New was one of the stations opened on January the 1st, 1859. The dispute occurred over which company could use the line between Southern and South Western Railway. Fortunately, the dispute between the 2 companies was resolved very quickly, in just 23 days. And therefore, on January the 24th, Havant New was closed and the main area of Havant was back down to the 1 station. Some maps list this disused station as Denville's, but it was still fully located in the Havant area. Another part of the disused railway history that fascinates me is the Hayling-Billy line. The Hayling-Billy line first opened in July 1867 and it branched out to all areas of the island. The network started in Havant and called at Langston. The E was dropped from the name in 1874. North Hayling and Hayling Island. As you walk over the footbridge, you can see the bollards where the railway bridge used to be. Roughly 7 miles down the trek, you will reach the station theatre where there used to be the terminus. This is located in West Town. If you were to get the bus from this area, you can either get a 30 to the other side of Hayling Island, that will take you to Mendham, or you can get a 31 from the same side of the road going back into Havant. Also, as you finish the first section of the track, you will see 4 bollards in the middle of the road. This was where the railway gates used to cross. Now, I have to point out at this stage that those gates are no longer there. The Hayling-Billy line closed in November 1963, most probably due to low customer numbers. However, a small steam rail line is still in action, starting at Beachlands and working across to Eaststoke. For more information on this line, feel free to browse the Spring Museum in Havant, which is in the very centre of the first part of the trek. It would be interesting to see where the line would have gone from that part, but I guess it would take a great deal of combing the areas at a deeper level to see this. The first section of the Hayling-Billy trek shows some lines along the pathway. These lines tell you where the tracks were laid during its 96-year spell. It's a shame that I never got to explore the beauty of the Hayling-Billy line in person, as it closed long before I was born. I'm now on board the 21 bus going to the next destination. However, I'm just going to mention this one. Farmington Railway Station opened in 1891 as Farmington Racecourse, but it showed signs of uncertainty with its opening and closing every 5 years. It first closed in 1917 and reopened in 1922. It closed again in 1927, reopened for the second time in 1928, where it was renamed Farmington Halt. This, however, was short-lived, as it then closed for the last time in 1937 due to lack of customers. I'd love to have shown you what was left of this station, but sadly there's nothing left, as a drill went through rendering them useless. They've been lifted since then. Since the station closed, some shops have opened up near the area and drivers can also purchase fuel from that area. This bus goes through that area, so it will give me an idea as to where it's located. There is also a station road located in Drayton, which isn't too far away from where the station was. There have been plans on opening up a railway station near the shops. These talks took place in Portsmouth City Council in 2011, but the plans have yet to be materialised. The walk that takes you over the bridge where the station was located spans across from Farmington to Caution. This walk takes about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the pace of the person taking the walk. Another railway line that has a colourful history is the area between Fareham and Gosport. Ever since Gosport Railway Station opened in 1841, it saw many a royal visit, mainly by Queen Victoria and her husband. However, passenger numbers struggled to stabilise. It kept fluctuating in and around both world wars until it finally closed to passengers in 1953. However, this station and the line remained open for goods coming in from Fareham until 1969. The line was first closed just 4 days after it opened. This was due to a landslip that occurred in an area to the north of Fareham. It was the closing of the Fareham line in 1969 and the lifting of the track that reduced platform 2 in Fareham to a terminus platform where late services can now terminate. The question that now remains is, what happened to the building of Gosport Railway Station? This is the building that once was Gosport Railway Station. It is now a Grade 2 listed building, which means it can be modernised but not demolished without permission. This railway station was first granted its listing status in 1975, 6 years after it closed the goods trains, and has since then become a residential area. You can just about imagine how the residents will react when they realise that they're living in what used to be a railway station, although I can only guess that a train enthusiast like myself would have bought out the station, and as they were remodernising the building, as you can see from behind, they preserved some of the old integrity of what was left of the station, such as the 2 platforms. Just as a precaution, if you plan to modernise any building, you need to make sure that it plays by the rules, and if you're not sure, then it's probably best not to risk it. I am now sat on one of the Eclipse buses that go between Fareham and Gosport. These 2 buses, alongside a couple of others, go along the railway line that connected the 2 places together. Another bus takes you along the coastline of Gosport. This passes Stokes Bay, where there used to be another station. Stokes Bay railway station provides the main ferry connection. You can still see the remains of its railway station as you take the ferry from Gosport. However, when this station closed in 1955, that honour moved across to Portsmouth Harbour. As you travel from Fareham to Gosport on one of the 2 Eclipse buses and you approach the end of the BRT, the E1 goes to the left and the E2 goes to the right. If you travel on the E2, you are able to see some train tracks that are still laid down. This includes the line spanning across where the train gates used to sit. The BRT has its own set of train gates which go up and down at certain times of the day. I first looked at the mysteries of the Gosport network in 2014, where I was taken by surprise as I passed the train tracks that are still there. You can see the lines, but you won't be able to get too close, as a metal fence borders around the outside of what remains of the track. I could only hazard 2 guesses about the 2 platforms. My guesses are that either one platform went to Stokes Bay and the other one went to Fareham, or that one platform was for passengers and the other platform was for goods. And even though I'm still unsure of the usage of the two platforms at Gosport Station, I'm willing to vouch for the former guess.
The next stop is Station Road.
Here are some other former railway stations that are worth mentioning, as they were located on the line going from Fareham to Winchester. The main two stations on this line were Wycombe and Bishop's Waltham. When Bishop's Waltham opened in 1863, it was the terminus of a 4.5-mile line that connected to Botley. The line from Bishop's Waltham called only at Dirty Holt and Botley. Both stations on the line had been demolished, and both stations had only one platform. Dirty Holt opened in 1909 and closed to passengers in 1933. Goods trains continued to use this line until 1962. The line was lifted in 1965, 3 years after the last goods train. Wycombe, on the other hand, opened in 1903. It was one of the middle stations on the Meon Valley line that connected Alton to Fareham. Starting at Alton, trains on the Meon Valley line called it Farmington Holt, Tisted, Privet, West Meon, Droxford, Whitcombe, Knoll Holt and Fareham. The whole line opened in 1903. The whole line closed to passengers in 1955, and it closed to good trains in 3 sections. The section between Farrington Holt and Droxford closed in 1955. The section between Fareham and Droxfield closed in 1962, and the section between Alton and Farrington closed in 1968. Now, the only way to get to Bishop's Waltham and Wycombe is to go by bus. The Route 69 offers an hourly service between Fareham and Winchester, 90 minutes on a Sunday between Bishop's Waltham and Winchester. And Route 20 offers a service to Wycombe via Knoll every 70 minutes on a weekday, and only 4 buses on a Saturday. I've always wondered what could cause a station or a whole line to close, especially since I started producing travelling episodes for shows old and new from 2009. And I quickly realised that I hadn't gone as deep into this as I'd wished to. It also came to my mind that not all trains used to stop at Havant railway station. There were 2 fast tracks placed in the middle of the 2 platforms. These allowed the fast passing trains to race past without needing to call at the station itself. I'm also pondering about where the one platform in Bishop's Waltham could have been located. And I look at the roundabout and the bus shelter and think that it could have been there. It also makes me pause and ponder on all the mysteries at each station, old or new, open or closed, that are dying to be discovered. The main reasoning behind each station closing so far has pointed to low passenger numbers. That notion came to pass on the line that ran from Havant to Hayling Island and the line that ran from Fareham to Gosport. The difference between Fareham and Gosport, that line was used, the passenger numbers used to peak during the 2 world wars that had occurred. The passenger numbers were higher during the world wars than they were either side of them. Other honourable mentions here include tram networks. There used to be a tram network in Waterloo that had opened in 1903 and had provided services between Cosham and Horndean. And although the line closed in 1935, you can still see some tram lines on some Waterloo's pavements around this precinct. The Southsea line started in Portsmouth and Southsea, ran from 1885 to 1914 and called Jesse Road Bridge, Albert Road Bridge Hop and East Southsea. Fratton's railway station was renamed in 1905 to Fratton at Southsea. So you can imagine when the trains ran from Portsmouth Harbour in 1905 to 1914, the route would have ended with Fratton at Southsea, Portsmouth Town and Portsmouth Harbour. The station was renamed back to just Fratton in 1921, and the Southsea part was later used in 1925 to rename Portsmouth main station to Portsmouth and Southsea. due to low passenger numbers, but the level crossing near Victoria Park is still there. I hope you enjoyed the known history behind the disused railway stations